Get Warrior Tough. Mental Training 101 with Andrew Wittman and Dutch Coleman on 105.5 The Roar. And now back to Andrew and Dutch.
I'm protesting that we can't play this bumper music for a longer period of time. Dude, I cranked me some Little John in my car, man. Oh, man, so good. All right, so Clemson Tigers are the number one team 2 weeks in a row on the college playoff thing. They're gonna be on the Sports Illustrated cover coming up. Dutch, I think we passed a huge test with the FSU game. I talked about this with Kwok earlier in the week on Out of Bounds, that I believe that was a desirable difficulty, and I'm glad that it wasn't a cakewalk, so that they knew that they have what it takes, and they will remember that skill to come back and handle their business and have the mental toughness to make it happen when they need to make it happen. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that's spot on. I think sometimes you need some difficulty. We saw it in the NC State game. We saw where a team in NC State didn't give up. They kept fighting back. We had some difficulties on defense. They kept coming, so we had to keep going. And sometimes when you're scoring a lot of points and one side of the ball is doing well, you're looking at the other side like, hey, man, what are you guys doing? Well, sometimes it's going to be like that. And you got to be prepared for that too. So that means you got to learn how to keep your foot on the gas. We've been accustomed to playing 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters, 2.5 quarters, and if you bring up the Miami game.
Yeah, well, that's Alabama football, man. When Alabama is rolling, when the tide's rolling, it's over by the second quarter, which is, like I said, I like my football like that, but I know it's not always going to happen that way. So I really appreciate, and I love this about Dabo, that he has that with the team. There is unit cohesion. That's what we talk about in Get Warrior Tough, where we're fighting for each other. We're in the trenches with each other, whether offense or defense. Like you said, the two units. I saw the Green Bay Packers having a meltdown on the sideline because the offense was doing something, the defense wasn't keeping up, and blah blah. And it's just, I love where we're at right now in the Clemson, the whole mindset. It's a great time to be a Tiger.
But if you think about it, what we've dealt with this year, we had the Notre Dame game, we had inclement weather. I mean, and I'm talking a monsoon.
Yeah, that was more than inclement weather is a smidge of an understatement, man.
Yes, you were there, so you know all about it. So you had that. So that in itself is a challenge. Then you get a big lead, and then you got to learn that you can't rest on your laurels because Notre Dame came charging back. Yeah. However you want to describe it, they came charging back.
They weren't going to go quietly into the night. Then they're a good team. They're a great team. Even they're in the top 4, so they're a great team recognized by the committee.
Exactly. So then you go to the NC State situation, which we just described, where a team is going to keep fighting. They're not giving up. They're not rolling over, and they're coming. And you got to keep going. You don't have any time, and you got to be pressing forward. So you dealt with that situation.
Yeah.
Then you deal with the Florida State situation, where you bring this nationally ranked team in that's been kicking your behind in recent years, and they jump out to a lead, and it doesn't seem like anything's going right. Well, you know what you got to do? You got to keep pushing along. You got to come back. You got to keep fighting. So they've dealt with some very good opportunities to learn, teaching moments. I mean, they've had a bunch of them.
Love it. And I really love this about the FSU because you said 3 years in a row, so they got this stigma, and so and then that big run, that 75-yard, and you could almost hear everyone going, "Here we go," And I got to tell you, I wasn't happy with how they're playing because we played to a standard. I'm not happy with that, but I am happy with how they came back and they took care of business, man. That just shows the resilience, the mental toughness, the level, the elite level of performance and mindset that those guys have, and I just absolutely love it, man.
And I think like as you said, they show mental toughness. I think our fans need to show some mental toughness though. I was on Twitter. Oh man, and they were just and again, we play to a standard, and it's okay when you're recognizing we're not playing well, but I think there's also a line that you can cross that just goes too far. I mean, they scored that touchdown a minute into the game. I think it was 45 seconds into the game.
That was the last thing they really did of anything, of the whole game. It was really the last thing.
And people were throwing the baby out after a minute. And even when we were playing and they were actually playing with us and they were stopping us from doing some of the things we wanted to do, people weren't respecting the fact that this is another good football team in front of us.
Yeah.
And we're really in a battle right now.
Right.
And if it comes easy, then it's probably not worth anything.
Right. And it's hard to be number one because everybody else could do. I mean, if it was easy, everybody would be number one. And,
Absolutely. So I'm sitting there watching these kids battle, and I knew, and I was supremely confident that we're going to win the game because I saw things happening. And I saw how it was developing where.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about that. I really wasn't. As soon as they settled down after that first drive, it was kind of like when you and I were sitting together watching the Tennessee-Alabama game. I didn't like it, but at no time was I worried we were actually going to lose that game.
Absolutely.
Right? And I felt the same way watching this game. I thought, I didn't like it at the beginning, but at no time did I feel like that we were in jeopardy of losing this game.
Yeah, and you didn't start bashing the players. You didn't start getting on the coaching and doing all that. You can recognize that things aren't going well, but the other team is there. They've prepared too, and I'm confident watching the game and seeing the different. I knew once when we started pressing the perimeter, I was chatting with my buddies, and I said, Deshaun Watson's going to start running the ball now. And they're like, why? I said, because they're pressing the perimeter. They're going to leave it open. That's the problem with having a mobile quarterback is you can't take everything away.
And that's going to be a problem if they do play Alabama. It's going to be a problem for Alabama's defense.
Yes. So probably about 6 or 7 plays later, Deshaun Watson starts taking it up the middle, and they're like, "Hey, man, that's what you just said." And I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm not panicking like others because I see a game coming together. The game's coming together. They're going to pay because you can't keep doing that. Now they're going to pay. So then they got to the middle again. They started focusing on the middle because Deshaun started beating them up in the middle. Then you got Deion Kane on the perimeter making that 1 or 2 people missing. He's in the end zone.
Yeah, I saw you tweet out it's Kane time or something, man.
Yes, because they're no longer pressing the perimeter because they have to protect the middle. So we're going to get them.
Yeah. So can I just say this about, this really kind of, I have to say this, and when somebody, and I saw this blowing up on, whether it was Twitter, Facebook, or whatever, people were starting to, talk trash about when Deshaun clocked the ball on 3rd down. I'm like, first off, were you on the field? Because I haven't seen you in that pressure situation. So you're sitting on your couch eating nachos, drinking beer, and you're going to criticize this guy for, just shut up because you're not out there. So you have no idea how fast this thing is moving and what's going on and what he has to deal with. And just because he makes it look easy, don't mean it is. So allow him to, we all make mistakes. Okay, he got a signal that he thought he got a signal wrong, whatever. He fixed it, man. So just, have a giant steaming hot cup of shut up.
Yeah. And again, we're not talking about people that recognize the mistake. We all recognize the mistake.
Right.
We all witnessed the mistake.
Sure.
But it's when people cross the line with the extremes. I mean, people calling the kid names and they calling him dumb and all kind of stuff. Look, he's owning it more than you. He has to get back out there. We're sitting on the couch at home watching. He has to actually go back out there. And he has to look his teammates in the face. You don't have to do any of that. So this guy is owning what he did.
Yeah, not only that, he had not just own it, but he had to get over it fast. Because you know what? If he starts having a meltdown, then the whole team follows down that path with him. He cannot afford. And this is he's a young dude, man.
Yes,
right.
He's as you just said. Just because he makes it look easy,
don't mean it is
easy.
Yeah. So anyway, I just had to say that, man. Sorry about getting on my soapbox, but I really, it drives me insane as a mental toughness coach to hear somebody call in and criticize a 19-year-old kid while you're sitting on the couch, 40 pounds overweight, drinking your beer and shoving Oreos in your mouth, but you're going to get on this kid. Hey, you know what? Why don't you go take a walk around the block and burn a couple calories before you start ripping into him, okay?
And I think that the part about our role in all of this is to be supportive. Now, we know fans, we can go a little crazy. I always say fan is short for stupid anyway. I'm a fan, so I can say that. So, I shouldn't be offending anyone because I just call myself stupid because I'm the biggest fan. But we need to be able to control those emotions because those kids need us. They need us engaged. They need us locked in. They need us supporting them. So our level of emotional intelligence needs to be high during the game so we can play our role. We all have a part to play. His part to play is on the field, and my part to play is in the stands, screaming and yelling and all that stuff. And I need to be engaged and not angry and not yelling at him, but trying to support him because there was a whole nother half of football to go. And we need to, as fans,
took care of business. I always equate it to be like when we were kids, we were learning to tie our shoes, and you weren't getting it right. Where your parents like, oh man, we better get Velcro because you'll never tie that shoe. No, they don't beat you down like that. They're like, you could get it, you could do it, you could get it. Not like, well, just get the Velcro. He ain't got no shot. And so it's just give the kid a break, man. That's all I'm saying.
And it's not coddling. It's the role that we have.
Right.
That's our role as fans. Well, they can take it. No, they can take what? They're taking way more than you can give.
Yeah. Listen, man, I played rugby. Okay, so he's taking a lot of hits out there. And, yeah, they got pads, but everybody else does, and they're much bigger than they are in rugby. Okay, so he's taking a beating anyway every time he gets hit. So just, let them play. Unless you're playing, stop being critical. You can not be happy. I get it, but stop criticizing. You're not there. Just let it go. That's all I'm saying, Dutch.
And when you have good, and I think we've identified that we have some really good guys on our team. We have some really good people. We have some really good people on our coaching staff. So I'm not telling you that they're beyond reproach, that they can't be criticized. But it's the type of criticism and the level and the anger and angst that you do the criticizing.
Right.
That's something that we as fans can control and stay in our lane as fans. Our job as fans, if you choose to be a fan, if you choose not to be a fan and you want to just be angry, then that's fine too. But if we're calling ourselves fans, then our role is to kind of support these guys. And again, it's not coddling them. It's the role that we have to cheer them on and pick them up when they're down, because that 300-pounder that just hit them in the face is much worse than anything you can do to them. But they could use your support that could kind of catapult them to the next level.
Right, and I guess you and I kind of take it a little more personally because you know them better than I do, but we know these guys personally, some of them personally. We know some of the guys on the team, and so we see that inside of it, and we see how when people rip on them, how it affects them. And I just think about when we were kids, when you're that age, even now, who likes to be criticized? Does anybody like to be embarrassed? Does anybody like their stuff called out? Nobody does, so I just... and
we got a special group. That's the other thing that makes me angry is I know these kids are a special group. When I look at Wayne Gallman, I talked to Wayne Gallman immediately after the BC game, and he didn't get 100 yards in that game. And the first thing he said to me was, "Hey man, I'm gonna do better next time. I'll do better next time." I said, "Look, man, your quarterback threw for 400 yards. He threw for 400 yards because they're keying on you as a runner, so they're taking away one." And then your boy Deshaun lights him up for 400 yards. And if they start trying to stop Deshaun, you're going to light him up for 200 yards. And if they try to play in the middle, Deshaun's going to throw for 3 and you're going to get 150. So they're picking their poison. But the guy had he was so locked in on pleasing the fan base. He's like, "Hey man, I'll do better next time. I'm working hard. I promise you I'll do better next time." I'm like, "Hey man, you're out there giving your all, and I appreciate that." We have a very special group of kids out there, and we need to appreciate that because it's not always that way. And give those guys some love.
No, and dude, I love that you're telling that, because I think people we need it's great to see, hear the inside of that inside story and know what their attitudes are. And like I said, you and I are kind of taking it a little more personally because we know them, and for people to criticize them because I know how hard these guys work. I kind of know some of where they came from. You know that. I mean, you know where you came from and what the pressure is, not just, for them to perform, but then you got the families and everybody, the circle, the third uncle, and everybody else on layers after layer, circle after circle, concentric rings of folks that are, pressure on them to do well. And I think the last thing we need to do is be criticizing them because they made a simple mistake on the field, or they didn't, they're not. Listen, I get it if they're screwing it up and they're doing it, they're on purpose. But these aren't on purposes. Like you said, we know these kids, so.
And this isn't a lack of effort. These guys are trying harder than I'm trying as a fan. I may lose my voice, but they're losing their knees and ligaments, and they're losing their shoulders. And Mike Williams broke his neck. These guys.
Right. What else do you want, guys? Ay vey, man, Shevitz. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I want that. If they're listening, guys, I want you to know, and you already know this, but we love you, and I appreciate your effort, and you guys are world class, and you're elite, and man, you're giving us the thrill of a lifetime watching you guys play. We got to go to break, Dutch.
80% of all doctor visits are stress-related. 80% of tension headaches are caused by stress. Most heart attacks occur around 9 a.m. on Monday. Stress is a major factor of anxiety, panic attacks, depression, and aggression, not to mention insomnia. And an estimated 24 million Americans use drugs to cope with stress. Depressing, isn't it? You're meant to live a happy, fulfilled life, and it is possible. Andrew Wittman can show you the way out. The way to deal with stress, to achieve, to break through limitations, and have an internal identity that calms the storm. Whether it's work or home, financial or emotional, get the tools you need to cope with the obstacles life brings you and still have peace. Mental training one-on-one will help you get what you want out of life. Visit GetWarriorTough.com to see testimonials from people just like you. Take control of stress. GetWarriorTough.com.